King Kong, 10 times as big as a man.
We are starting another mini little journey with you. The Addendum of Kong, as a little trilogy. This is going to be the Addendum of Kong 2, to be followed up by 3 and 4, which will be commentaries on some of the Kong stuff that we sort of overlooked when we did the Week of Kong. Joining me, as he did for the Week of Kong, Dylan McCandless, Super DM64. So, Dylan, tonight, the only other Kong ground that we have yet to cover outside of Skull Island was the two shows. The King Kong show from 1966, which was a full-fledged cartoon that got produced and had like a full season and shit, and then the 2000 Kong show, which we did talk about the movies from, so we did touch on animated Kong in that respect, and of course King Kong Escapes was inspired by this show, so we did talk about this cartoon and that, but we did think it would be fun after doing Skull Island and feeling some Kong nostalgia again to do some of the other Kong stuff that we didn't cover and do that in particular. So that's what we're doing commentaries on tonight. Tonight in particular, we're doing, I think it's like 8 episodes of the King Kong show.
Yeah. And each episode's only like 6 minutes, so realistically we're looking at like 48 minutes.
Right, so this will be shorter than your typical Week of Kong commentary, but nevertheless, nonetheless complicated and wrought with technical difficulties and emotional difficulties. So this is Rankin Bass's old school Kong show. Again, what inspired King Kong Escapes. Dylan, you're very familiar with King Kong Escapes. You're not very familiar with this show, though, are you?
No, I pretty much knew about this show existing because of King Kong Escapes, not the other way around. I've never watched any of it. I never particularly felt the desire to. I knew that it was a thing that had happened, and so now I'm gonna see some of it. Gonna bridge some of that Kong knowledge there.
The way we're viewing this is through the release of a DVD that came out in the mid-2000s around Peter Jackson's King Kong, which packaged together 8 episodes of the show on a DVD, and it was released in 2 parts, 2 volumes. I had both of them. I got both of them off Amazon from my mother in the mid-2000s, so I have a lot of nostalgia for this show. That was a big Christmas present when I got this show. It was a point of fascination for me. It was a King Kong cartoon. Like, I had to watch it, Like, it's a franchise where it's like, I have to see everything associated with this because it just fascinates me. And I care so much about it. So, I watched it all, and my thought process was, wow, I think this is better animated than the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla, but oh my god, it's so much worse. So you be the judge and tell me, but my perceptions of it going in are, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So Dylan, without any further ado, I mean, in terms of watching along with this, basically, you got to get volume 1 of the DVD release for the King Kong show and follow along with us.
Hopefully that DVD is still available and not out of print or something.
Yeah. And if not, find other means that the International Satellite in Space would be useful for. So,
definitely. Do you want me to read the little excerpt from the Big Book of Kong here?
Sure, why not?
Now, there isn't an entry in the book for the show by itself. There is, however, some information about it in the chapter about King Kong Escapes, for obvious reasons. That's probably why the author didn't feel the need to write a whole chapter on it again. Well, he wouldn't have written a whole chapter anyway, but even like a section of a chapter. Let's see. Basically, it's just talking about how Rankin started as a graphic designer and wound up starting Rankin Bass with some other guy, and then made the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer thing. And then, let's see. Soon after, ABC made a deal with the company to produce a series for children using traditional cell animation. Casting around for a subject, Rankin thought back to a film he had loved since childhood and began negotiating with Daniel O'Shea for the rights to turn King Kong into a Saturday morning cartoon show. Debuting in fall of 1966, the King Kong show focused on Kong, here reimagined as a friendly resident of Mondo Island, and his pal, young Bobby Bond, who lived on Mondo Island with his father, research scientist Professor Bond, and his sister Susan. In the course of the series, Kong, Bobby, and the Bonds have numerous adventures, many which involve being menaced by a recurring villain, an evil scientist named Doctor Who. The show is extremely popular, and its catchy theme song became a hit record. Now, and of course,
What year was this again?
It says that the show debuted in fall of 1966, so they must have been developing the show and the movie like at the same time. Now, speaking of which, you might be listening to this thinking, well, how did that get turned into King Kong Escapes? Well, basically, Toho wanted to make another Kong movie because King Kong vs. Godzilla was the most profitable thing they had ever done. And they had a script called King Kong vs. Zebra. RKO turned it down. They didn't like the script. That, of course, got turned into a Godzilla movie, Godzilla vs. Sea Monster. Meanwhile, Rankin Bass had a...
Oh, you're just like Godzilla versus the sea monster. I'm like, oh my god! Like, what is that? What is that subtle cough at the end there mean? Like, what kind of subtle judgment does that cast on sea monster? It was just like this toss of shade, just like, let's get this garbage out of here.
Yeah, no. Actually, I just had some phlegm in my throat. Anyway,
yeah, no, I like sea monster quite a bit.
I do too, actually. Recently, the more I've seen it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Rankin Bass had a deal with RKO. He had permission to make a movie version of his show that he was developing. He had a script written for it. RKO liked his script, but I guess they didn't want to pay out the money to finance it or something. So they made a deal with Toho that they could make themselves another Kong movie, but they had to use the Rankin Bass script. And I would imagine that some things in the script probably got changed to fit the Japanese-ness of the production. But overall, that's what happened. They took Rankin Bass's script, made it with Japanese people, and we had King Kong Escapes.
Fascinating, and very explains a lot about what I saw when I was a kid. I saw King Kong Escapes first, and then like a year or two later, like just about, I saw this show. So I had a pretty well-rounded view of what was going on here.
Yeah, I was always under the impression that the Mechanic Kong debuted first in the animated show, and it very well might have. But from what I'm reading here, it seems like the idea of Mechanic Kong was thought out for this movie script.
Oh. So then they put it into the show?
I guess.
I see. He looks different in the show. He's like red and shit, yeah. So that makes sense.
Then I was under the impression that the show had come out and been out for a while before they made the movie, when in reality it seems like it all happened pretty fast. As things tended to do with giant monster properties in the 60s. It's a recurring theme.
Yeah. So, with that said, why don't we get into this thing then? We can talk more about it as we're fucking looking at it. So there's 6 minutes each. Are you ready?
Let's do this, I guess.
All right. So, however you're watching this, press play in 3, 2, 1, play. I definitely gotta turn that the fuck down. Alright, Dylan, so the song. You know the song, right? King Kong! You know the name. You know the name of King Kong, right?
I know the name of King Kong. This is the first time that I've heard this apparent hit record.
As a song, it's not bad. I liked it.
The Godzilla Power Hour theme song is better.
Yeah, without question.
The depths.
Godzilla! Bop, 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 bop. Again, Hanna-Barbera Godzilla is probably ultimately better than this, but this looks better. It's of a better pedigree, but story-wise, it's like incomprehensible.
Does it look better?
I mean, it's older. That's one thing. But yeah, I think without question, like the character models are better.
Because that boy looks pretty shit to me. Also, King Kong doesn't have teeth. Also, look how long his torso is.
I think in the general artistic sense, it looks better.
This explains the Toho suit in King Kong Escapes.
It does it does sort of explain that, but he also looks a lot like he does in the '90s show. These are the Bonds, but see, they're very anime characters.
I gotta disagree with you on this looking better than the Godzilla show. Look at these people.
They're anime characters, though. They're more kind of simplistic.
I can tell they come from Rankin Bats because they have that same soulless look on their faces as the puppets.
That's reflected in their personalities as well, believe you me. I don't know what the fuck is going on. All I know is they're in the desert, and King Kong was brought with them for some reason. Like, they don't think, hey, maybe we shouldn't bring the giant ape with us.
The creepiest thing in the world is watching Santa Claus is coming to town and seeing two puppets try to have a romance.
Do you think that they let the Middle Easterners know that they were going to bring King Kong with them? Because that's probably something you would want to tell them, right?
No. I like that this Middle Easterner is like, hey, boss.
I don't think he's from the Middle East. I think he's supposed to look like it. Also, this place looks really dangerous. Like, really unnecessarily dangerous. Why are there just exposed circuits everywhere?
That's Doctor Who?
Yeah, that's Doctor Who.
He looks like he came from Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Look at this thing. This thing's gonna come to life. Every monster in this and the 90s Kong animated series is stuff they did in both Godzilla shows as well.
That's the difference. This show's animation style reminds me of like fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle, shit like that. The Godzilla animated series makes me think like Johnny Quest. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because that's Hanna-Barbera.
Look at that guy's eyebrows. Jesus.
See, because this show is very unpleasant to look at in a way that Hanna-Barbera Godzilla just isn't. Whereas Hanna-Barbera Godzilla is just funnier and more embarrassing and, like, kind of cheesy. This is, like, really unpleasant and annoying and just kind of, like, visual noise and stuff, you know?
I guess in 1966 this would fucking rock your cock. But right now I'm like, what?
Look at the fucking thing just smiling at them as it just burns them to a fucking crisp. My God.
When did the Godzilla thing start? The Godzilla series.
The Hanna-Barbera show? Like 76?
Oh, okay.
Wait in the middle of the desert.
I like to talk to Kong like he's retarded.
I love how this is the first episode of this King Kong show we're, like, watching, and you for the first time, and he's, like, barely been in it.
There's a Captain Englehorn in this universe?
Yeah, there's a Captain Englehorn in this universe as well. Dylan, where's your timestamp at, buddy?
9:20. Oh, it's counting backwards.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'm seeing as well.
Okay, 9, 19, 18, 17, 16.
Okay. You're actually a little bit behind me, but I think that's actually fine. I'm only by like a second.
That bitch looked like Judy Jetson.
That was Miss Bond. So, do you think that them using the last name Bond was to capitalize on James Bond? Like, I mean, that was big in Japan, big all over the world at this point. So, I would imagine that would be a good reason. But just as a name, it works for this kind of show. So, I think it's a mixture of both of those things.
It's only 4 years into the Bond series being a thing too.
So. Only. You said it like it wasn't popular at this point. It was insanely popular. Like
I'm just saying.
Like Connery was on his way out at this point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying this is only 4 years in, so the franchise is still kind of young.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know,
I mean,
it doesn't have. It doesn't have the. It may have been popular, but it wasn't like. You know, it hadn't achieved that like Star Wars status yet. You know what I mean?
Well, no.
Only the test of time gives something that.
Yeah.
Unless you're Star Wars, in which case you get it automatically.
Yep, they got it right away, yeah.
Oh, that is a very Asian man.
Who?
That guy on the boat that was just like, oh, I'll tell you what.
That was Captain Englehorn.
Why does he look Asian?
I don't know, because he's not. He's the I don't know. Engelhorn in the book is described as like German, and then in the movie he's just some English guy.
Oh shit! This show almost turned into Kong Skull Island there for a second. I mean, how does Kong win this fight? The Sphinx has death rays.
My point is, why does Doctor Who ever build anything except this Sphinx? Because this is like the ultimate weapon. I mean, outside of Kong drowning it. Even though he should not win this fight. Like, the thing has death rays. You have a good point. Like, how the hell is he not dead right now?
Why didn't he give Mechanic Kong death rays? Why did Mechanic Kong just have, like, flashlights for eyes? And
Again, I don't know if that's how they did it in this show, but if he could give this Sphinx death rays, you would assume that he would also give Mechanic Kong death rays.
Yeah, there's no reason why
Holy
he shouldn't
shit.
give all of his...
It
There's no
turned...
reason why he...
Did you see it turn red? That was wild.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Wait, wait. Wait, listen
He
to
looks
this.
like-
Did you hear that line? That's the end of Doctor Who's Sphinx. It's like, thanks. And that's the end of the fucking episode. Wasn't that a delightful adventure?
No. Captain Englehorn looks like he looks like Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah, I can see that with the squinty, closed eyes.
Captain Englehorn.
Holy shit! The boat's going off course. The green-eyed monster. This one's about jealousy, okay?
Stroking the front wall of my vagina.
Why are you letting the child pilot the steam engine?
He even kind of sounds Asian. What's going on?
A cartoon that was very popular in Japan and animated in Japan. That's what's going on.
What? Why are they on a boat?
Because it's Captain Englehorn. Where else is he going to be? He just literally threw that dog out a window. Did you see that? He literally just threw that dog out a window. He panicked and threw the dog out the window.
Of course Captain Englehorn is going to be on a boat. I mean, why is the Bond family and the Kong traveling around on a boat getting
Is
into
Kong on the boat right now?
I assumed so.
Where is he? Well,
What
where
are
the
they
fuck
called?
is he?
Did they call him like Godzilla? Did he come up from the depths?
I mean, where is he on the boat then? I think he's too big to be actually inside the boat in this universe.
Maybe he's below deck.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's too big for that in this continuity.
You think this show has a sense of scale?
Usually he's on a raft.
Did you watch the same Sphinx fight that I watched? I don't think this show understands scale.
He was on, like, the back of it in that. Captain
Why didn't Doctor Who
Englehorn is
just-
seriously not going to address the fact that he panicked and threw that dog out a fucking window.
Why didn't Doctor Who just build several Sphinxes?
I don't think he had the money. Oh my god, look at that shot. That's terrifying.
The money. He financed Adam X in the universe. Does she exist?
He only asked for $1 million. Where the fuck did he come from?
He started out with a small loan of $1 million. Maybe this is Mondo Island. Maybe they left Kong here and then they're coming back. I don't know.
Oh. I love how he's like, hey, giant ape, fuck off. The dog is talking.
You know what? The Kong from that shitty new Netflix show kind of looks like this one.
They both do. They're both inspired by it. Do you
I don't-
see this shit? This is like some Caesar shit. Oh my god, Kong is fucking nuts. This show just got so good all of a sudden. Like, this is fucking great.
Oh, giant snake, 76. All right.
A
Oh, big
bird with
birdie.
a hat on it. Did you see the hat on it?
It's a big birdie. How did that monster wind up in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster instead of King Kong Escapes?
It was inspired by this. Wow. Kong just literally fucking performed a hit on this fucking dog. Why does that bird have a hat? Yo, Kong literally just like fucking killed this thing. Like he just like left it to die.
What the fuck is going on? Is it because he remembered the boy telling him to stay away from the dog?
Yeah, because he wants to hang out with the kid. He said, "Oh, he's gonna remember the dog again." That's a horrible dog too. It's like a horrible, ugly dog. Like, let it die, Kong. You did the right thing.
A horrible, ugly cartoon.
Oh my God, this is so wild.
Why does that bird have a hat?
That's what I fucking kept asking. Do you not listen?
Is Doctor Who not involved in this one?
No, he's not in every episode.
Where's the TARDIS?
Why does that bird have a hat?
Why didn't the fall in Kong's hand kill that dog?
I don't know.
Why did Kong's face turn orange?
I don't know.
Why is this so shitty?
I don't. Well, 1966. You big stupid fucking monkey. He fucking throws a rock at him.
That was the King Kong show, everybody. It weren't no Dragon Ball Super. This must be his mom, his sister, his cousin.
His sister. You read the article.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't pay attention to it, though.
You literally just shout the words out to the void.
For instance, I didn't know that Captain Englehorn was in the show. Did the book say that?
What?
Did the book say that Captain Englehorn was in the show? Because
Yeah.
I definitely missed that.
Yes.
Fuck.
Holy shit, that's a human spine. What the fuck? This show is so wild. This show is kind of more entertaining than the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla because it's so much fucking weirder.
No.
Oh, you're so wrong. He just put the human spine in that dog's mouth. Did you not see that?
First of all, if you've been listening, Dr. Bond clearly just says that is not a human spine. It's the backbone of some sort of prehistoric bird.
Oh.
Second of all, there's an episode of the Godzilla cartoon where he swims down underwater, and then there's like a pocket of air and some sort of weird electrical monster that he has to fight. Like, that show is way weirder than this show so far.
We should do commentaries on that.
A bird with a hat on does not equal the same level of weirdness.
I see. All right, here. Pause, or it stopped anyway. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's press play. In 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, I gotta lower the audio again.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Every time, that's annoying. So we're watching the third episode now, guys. The intro to it, anyway. And King Kong just threw a T-Rex at the camera. Now, what was the shit you were talking about? Another cartoon that ran with this? What?
So, every episode of the King Kong show had 2 6-minute King Kong cartoons and 1 6-minute Tom of Thumb cartoon, leading to 18 minutes of animation, with plenty of room for commercials.
What the fuck is Tom of Thumb?
He was a Ant-Man-sized detective who mostly solved really racist crimes about mad scientists. And that was made in tandem with King Kong. And shown in tandem.
Interesting.
That was the King Kong show.
Kind of like how Dexter's Lab used to have the fucking, like, monkey or the Super Friends or whatever. Not the Super Friends, whatever the fucking Dexter's Lab version of the Super Friends were. You know what I'm talking about, with Major Glory and all that shit.
Yeah, what do they call
it?
The Justice Friends. Yeah, that's right.
I love the Justice Friends.
I love the Justice Friends. Oh my god, I love that their name is a mixture of the Justice League and the Super Friends, but they're all based on the Avengers.
Yeah, except that Major Glory is kind of a Superman Captain America crossover.
Yes, definitely. But Valhalla is Thor and Krunk is, Hulk.
Yeah. Then there's the extended cast of characters like Samurai or that one that looks like a tiger. I should be watching that cartoon instead of this.
So this one, Kong is doing menial labor.
That was a theme in the movie as well.
Yeah, but he's not being mind controlled this time. At least I don't think so. Perhaps by his perhaps by his undying love for this small boy. So Kong's interests have shifted in this show, haven't they? No longer is he going after young maidens. He's picked a different target for his affections, if you know what I'm saying.
God, all the dialogue in this show feels like it was directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
There's a meteor fell to Earth, and we think the radiation could do the thing. So we got Kong to do the thing. Like that's what it sounds like to me.
You think Kong will ever throw poop at somebody in a movie?
One can hope. We finally got that in the Planet of the Apes universe. So.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see that in Godzilla. What if the ultimate fuck you to Godzilla in Godzilla vs. Kong is Kong throwing his poop at him?
And then Godzilla just atomic breathed his fucking face.
Yeah, but like after he's been hit by his poop, there's really no going back. Like even if he kills him, it's like he still got hit by Kong's poop. He would have to poop. He would have to also poop on him to ultimately rebuttal his pooping on him. But even that would not be enough.
I don't think Godzilla poops, especially in the legendary continuity when he's supposed to just absorb radiation.
Yeah.
I don't even know why he has teeth, honestly.
Maybe he just really takes care of his dental work. Whoa. Why were they attacked all of a sudden? Oh, this one's got Doctor Who in it. It's like every other... Oh my god. Every other one has Doctor Who in it. And he always has, like, really generic New York gangster types dressed up in seasonal and or, like, location-appropriate garb.
Why does Doctor Who look like he has Down syndrome?
You probably just analyzed why every one of his plots don't work out. Oh boy, that's fucked up.
Meet again.
Oh boy.
He's so short.
I don't know if we're qualified to make these jokes, but he is pretty short. We're at least qualified to determine that. He's got white pupils as well, which is interesting.
Why is he so short?
Why does he have white pupils?
What's wrong with his face? What's wrong with everybody's faces, honestly?
Why does he get fucking kidnapped every episode? Like, why does that have to be the constant plot? Can there be one where it's like, oh, we're all just hanging out, having a good time?
Because there's a character called Doctor Who in it, and that means lots of people getting captured.
Oh, God. I didn't know that's what Doctor Who is about.
Oh, yeah. Haven't you noticed?
Kong is like, water. That'll fuck me
Companions
up.
always getting out the TARDIS and being like, "Oh, Doctor, I've been captured."
Oh, he only had four. He only had 4 fingers there for a second. Did you see that?
Yeah. What is that? It looks like the fucking thing from Spider-Man 2. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. This guy's evil plan is essentially Dr. Cochin's wish on the Dragon Balls in DBS abridged. I mean DBZ abridged. Actually, in DBZ too. Same wish. It's just one time it was played for laughs.
That kick was more like a weird nudge.
That is bigger than Doctor Who. If I ever met this guy, he'd be like, "I'm Doctor Who," and I'd be like, more like Doctor Where? And then where the fuck is he? I can't see him.
Kong just punched a nuclear reactor.
Realistically, Doctor Who should be able to kill Kong. All he needs is biplanes.
Yeah, all he realistically needs is a gun.
A really big gun.
Kong just like, yeah, I'll let that cinch my ass for a while. That'll feel good.
God, the conflicts in this show are wrapped up faster than One Punch Man.
Kong is the 60s equivalent of One Punch Man. Because they're always putting him up against fucking people. Like, there's never any, like, real threat. It's always just people underestimating him.
That first one we watched so far has been the best because that Sphinx fight was actually, a fight. Thanks to Kong, the desolate wasteland once more.
Thanks to Kong, who literally just ran away. Oh boy, his face looks... See, look at this. His interests are getting very disturbing.
Kong won't rape little Timmy.
Oh, by the way, the voice actor, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
I thought he sounded familiar. Shit.
She. What?
Listen here, Kong. I'm going to teach you how to kill reindeer, and then we're going to go back to the North Pole.
Okay.
I'm going to take over.
Okay, I've talked about this one before. Literally, the plot is there is a big golden temple in the way, and King Kong has to move it. And at the end, he gets a golden crown that he puts on his head, and he's King Kong. Get it?
That's it.
That's the whole plot. It's only 6 minutes, or it's only 6 minutes. Remember, that's a whole lot for 6 minutes.
Oh my.
The relationship between this boy and Kong is very, like, passive-aggressive, I feel.
Yeah, this boy's always a dick to Kong, and Kong's like, love me.
I feel like this is the Lolita of King Kong movies. Like, the boy is Lolita and Kong is Jeremy Irons. Have you seen Lolita?
Yeah, the boy is... He's the Andero of the series. Actually, based on that rape face earlier, he's more the Dwan of this series.
But like I said, it's like Lolita. Like, he's always treating him like shit. But he's always like, oh, I love you.
What is that she's sharpening? That didn't even look like a knife. It looked like a giant toothpick.
It was for Kong's toothpick.
His mouth didn't move just then.
Kong understands English, apparently.
Don't eat the scientific discovery.
Oh my god, I found a tiny man.
What? Doesn't look like gold, it looks like bronze.
It looks literally like the Statue of Liberty, but older.
That's bronze. The fuck? That is not a gold color. It looks like a penny. It's copper. What?
Hey, Dylan. I just want to remind you, he's a fucking scientist, alright?
Yeah, but he's a scientist in this show, so I don't think that counts for much. The Temple of Huni?
I feel like he needs more of a bathing suit than what he has on right now for me to be comfortable enough to continue.
He's pretty scantily clad. It's almost a bikini.
It's almost a bikini.
It's a mankini.
So there's a tornado underwater in front of the Golden Temple, and then there's sharks. Holy shit, he just stabbed it. Oh my god, blood! Did you see the blood?
Yeah, it looked more like ink, but...
Kong is literally like, bro, you know what? It is not my problem.
When there is blood in the water, the sharks will come. Literally.
Kong's hitting sharks with other sharks now. That's pretty great.
Bill, as a proponent of shark rights, how do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like King Kong, as a giant fictional gorilla, he kind of has carte blanche to do with whatever he wants with sharks. And as one Kong, his impact on the shark population at large will be minimal, at most.
Kong's body, he has pecs, but then the rest of his body, all the way down, is just stomach.
Yeah, he looks a little chunky to me. That's my name.
And a giant monkey. You literally have a giant monkey.
In more ways than one, Mr.
You know what I would
Bond.
do if I? You know what I would do if I had a giant monkey? Not very good things, but they would get accomplished.
Just don't send it into a fucking tornado.
Oh, that face. Out of all the episodes we've watched, this one feels the longest.
Because it's the most action-packed. The most narrative has been told so far, you know?
No. The opposite of that, actually.
Do you see the plot so far, though? Have you been following the story?
Oh, good. He moved a monument, like Lex Luthor. Episode over, I go.
See,
oh,
he
good.
got his gold crown.
He sounded so excited. Better than that, Dad. It's on the beach. This kid's like a young John Wayne. There's the temple, Pilgrim. King Kong truly is number one under the sun. You should have worn that crown for the rest of the series.
He realistically should have, just to remind us all of his fucking title.
King Kong, you know the name.
Alright, Dylan. So that's it for this fucking, part of it.
Next we're watched episodes 13/14, Electric Circle / Mirror of Destruction. Aren't you all so excited?
Alright, let's press play. In 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, Dylan, so this one has a different story, presumably, or what counts for a story. So what are your thoughts so far? We've watched, like, 2 of these, roughly, two sets of these.
I sort of hate it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a fair summation.
I don't-
What about
I don't
it
share your-
specifically gets your blood going?
Why is King Kong's hand so freakishly small in that shot where he's poking the boy in the face?
Because it was
I-
animated in the early 60s.
Well, that's my first complaint. I don't share your apparent love of the animation in this show. I think it
I
looks
never said I had any love of the animation. I said that I thought it was, at points, better animated, like, in terms of the frames per second and the character models, better than the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla. But it's a little hit or miss.
and I can't disagree more. I think it looks fucking not terrible. But also,
I also think the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla looks terrible. So, I just think that in some ways, this one is less terrible. See, this is the one where it's like, oh, it's Skull Island, because they show you the skull. But previously in episodes we've seen, we've heard it referred to as Mondo. So, it's a bunch of bull.
see, while Hanna-Barbera Godzilla looks pretty standard to the period, this looks like worse than other things that were out at the time, I think.
I don't know.
Well,
There's a lot of crap cartoons that got made in the 60s. Oh, see, look, there's a dinosaur. See that moment where Kong scooped them up? That looked alright. I think it's the Japanese animation, like, the frames per second that is of a higher quality. You know, Hanna-Barbera Godzilla was always repeating the same shots over and over again.
But see, I'd rather have, like, a shot that looks decent repeated than a bunch of shots that look terrible.
I don't think the shots that are repeated in Hanna-Barbera Godzilla usually look that decent. Like, there's that one where Godzilla's thighs are gigantic and his head is really tiny and he's just walking along the frame. Like, do you remember that?
I always figured that was just a matter of perspective because you're looking at him from down below.
It's
from where
it's so weird looking, though. It looks like he's got these giant thighs. When did they get kidnapped?
It's a hard thing to do an animation to try and portray scale on that level.
All All right, I'm done defending this show because, again, I don't think it looks good. I just think at some points it looks slightly better than Hanna-Barbera Godzilla. If you don't agree, that's fine.
And I feel like I'm staring at a literal pile of dog shit right now. So
That guy's head is sort of shaped like it. I love the stumbling walk, like the little like trot and stumbling walk that they all have to do. What in God's name do you think they're talking about?
I don't know. This episode seems to be trying to have a plot, and I think that's ill-advised.
Well, I mean, mostly because we're not paying attention to the dialogue because there's no subtitles. But that guy looks pretty pissed. The father, who's been in most of the other episodes, he doesn't look too thrilled. Now that guy's pointing at him. So I think that there's some accusations about who exactly stuck their penis where. And that tent just got so much bigger than it appeared from the outside. I like Kong. I like Kong's design less than I like the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla's design. And yeah, the scale's all over the place. When did they have time to set that up?
Like, in one shot he'll be towering over the trees, and then in the next shot he's like Peter Jackson size, and the trees are still taller than him, and he's just sort of, wandering around. Like, it doesn't make...
He's supposed to be 10 times as big as a man, which is like, what, 50 or 60 feet?
Something like that, yeah.
They have guns, but they don't use them. I feel like that's ill-advised.
I feel like that guy has the Pepsi logo on the side of his uniform, and I'd like to...
Wouldn't it be great if these guys worked for the Pepsi company?
See, from what I've observed so far about this show, the best episodes, and I use the word best very loosely.
Yeah, which ones are you saying are the best?
What I'm saying is the best episodes are the ones that involve Doctor Who, because at least you have an interesting villain with a humorous name.
And at least we can make fun of him when he's on screen and we're laughing. Like, right now, we're just like, what's this guy's deal?
Whereas whenever Doctor Who's not on screen, it's like, oh, Kong, move that building.
Oh, you mean the last one where he literally just had to get a temple out of the way?
Yeah, like...
This is just child... Now we're watching a kidnapping plot.
I don't know what was worse, that last episode that had no plot, or this episode that's trying desperately to have a plot.
What is the plot, though? Like, hey, Mr. Scientist Man, let us dig on your island. And his ape was like, and now they kidnapped his kid. I don't know why the kidnapping of the child was their move. They probably should have just left, or tried to kill Kong. Maybe this is their method of killing Kong. Maybe they feel like they had to draw him to them, but... Again,
from what I've gathered, this Hispanic character who strikes me as sort of a love child between this show.
How do you know he's Hispanic? Did you listen to the accent?
No, it's skin color.
He looks pretty white to me.
Anyway, he strikes me as like some sort of weird love child of like this show's Doctor Who and Ricardo Montalban from Fantasy Island.
I was going to say Ricardo Montalban.
And I get the feeling that he's the bad guy.
Well, yeah, that I get. I mean, he kidnapped a child. That's usually indication of a bad guy.
But
see,
what he's doing...
Kong's design is too, like, funny cartoon, like Magilla Gorilla for me. He doesn't have that, like, monstrous quality that the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla still retained.
He looks... Oh, God, he makes Magilla Gorilla look like fucking... Attack on Titan in terms of anime. Like, look at this fucking thing. Look at this thing.
Look how small his legs are. Like, even for a gorilla, which that scale makes sense for a little bit, it's still pretty unbelievable. I ask again, what the fuck were they trying to do? That's a really... Now he's picking up entire submarines and sinking them, murdering everybody inside?
All right, at least in the Godzilla cartoon, we know how tall he is, damn it. It's 30 stories
tall.
No.
Well, yeah, but see, we get the same scale in the theme song for this, but the scales of the characters in both shows change wildly. Like that's a problem of both shows.
I feel like it's more rampant here, though. Maybe it's just because Kong is a smaller creature, so when his scale shifts, it's easier to notice.
We'll do Hanna-Barbera Godzilla at some point, and I think that you're gonna agree that they're a lot more in line with each other, than you may be remembering here.
I have seen Hanna-Barbera Godzilla not that long ago, and I'm telling you, it looks way better than this shit. It's got that Johnny Quest look. I like Johnny Quest.
I haven't watched Johnny Quest since I was a very, very young man. Oh, here we go, another one. Mirror of Destruction. You know, every mirror is a mirror of destruction if you think about it, because it destroys people's self-image. Look at this cocksucker. He's just like, alright people, bring my chair out. Let me sit on the beach while you all stand around me. And why does Englehorn have a handlebar mustache now?
Yeah, he looks totally different. I don't even think...
Maybe it's not supposed to be Englehorn. It might not be Englehorn. Whoa, why is Kong, like, swimming? Yeah, he's swimming alongside the boat and is just as big as it, if not bigger.
I was about to say, maybe that's not even supposed to be Englehorn, because that looked nothing like the character from that other episode.
No.
Mind you, the
They've
character
gone
from
to
that
meet
other
up with
episode-
my English teacher from 11th grade.
You did bring the big ape, didn't you? Oh, yes, my penis, yeah.
I always bring that. I always make sure that that's along.
Never leave home without it.
How does he eat when he's swimming through the vast ocean alongside a boat?
I think it's best not to question it.
Why does he get left behind? Like that movie with Nicolas Cage.
Because he's a bitch.
Is that why Nicolas Cage got left behind in that movie?
I haven't seen that movie.
Presumably it had something to do with this show, though. God was like, you guys created that? Oof. Well, friend, this is the weapon of mass destruction that I've created. What do you think? Cool.
I did see the Kirk Cameron...
Oh my god, Doctor Who walks out with a gun, like just a rifle just pointed right at a child and an unarmed man. This is a great show.
They should have called him Egghead. Look at his fucking head.
I think that was copyrighted by this very year. That's a pretty big brain. Like realistically, like and he's got those two little wisps of hair coming out of the top of his head. What the hell is that? Transylvania? Like it looks like a weird castle-based modern city.
Who has the copyright on the name Egghead? Because sure, there's Vincent Price from Batman '66, but there's a Marvel character called Egghead. There's
Egg Foo in Marvel. I don't know if it's an Egghead. Who's Egghead in Marvel?
like a scientist guy, and I'm pretty sure his name was Egghead. And I saw him in one of my one of those DK like Marvel encyclopedia books that I had as a kid.
I think Doctor Who was a better name. Yeah, Kong's hands are really tiny. What the fuck? He's like the Donald Trump of King Kongs.
At least in the movie, Doctor Who seemed Asian, so you could like use the excuse, "Oh, it's Who, H-U, Doctor Who."
I mean, it's supposed to be spelled W-H-O in this show, so
In this, he looks kind of like he looks
like Simon Bar Sinister. Underdog.
Yeah, he looks kind of like a mixture of that and like Toad from was that his name, Toad? That little freaky guy with the glasses from Raiders of the Lost Ark. What was his name?
Toad.
Something with it.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember him even having a name.
He's my favorite villain from that movie. Good evening, Fraulein.
So, what shall we talk about?
I love the moment where he pulls out the chain, and you think, "Oh fuck, what's he gonna do with that?" And then it's a coat hanger.
Yeah, that is a great bet.
Oh, we should be watching that movie.
Yeah, maybe we'll do commentaries on those at some point.
What are we doing with our lives?
That's a very good question. These people get kidnapped on such a regular basis. They should be like, you know what, we're just going to live on our island and never fuck with anybody and never get kidnapped again.
Indiana Jones would be a fun one to do at some point. It would also be incredibly short, which is a plus.
Yeah, that would be short.
It would be 3 good movies and then one just horrible.
Unless we did the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Do like an episode or 2 of that.
There is an episode with Harrison Ford in it where he's like in North Dakota. He's got a beard because that was when The Fugitive came out.
Does that show half-hour episodes or hour-long episodes?
I think they're our. No, we're not. When I said we would do that show, I was kidding because it's A, awful, and B, yeah, it's kind of beefy. And they're not even like, it's not even like good Indiana Jones prequel. I mean, kind of needless to say, but it's also like it's half educational, like historical shit, and then half like bad Indiana Jones prequel nonsense. You know?
It's a shame because the Indiana Jones universe is ripe for like television. I think like you could make something really cool out of that.
You need to do like an anime-esque Indiana Jones would be kind of cool.
I don't trust Hollywood to handle this franchise anymore. We need to let Netflix do like a 10-episode Indiana Jones series.
I don't trust Spielberg to do it again, quite frankly, but you know he's giving it a go.
Especially him and his old pal Lucas.
Well, Lucas is not involved this time.
Good old Georgie boy. He's building a museum now. That's probably where he belongs.
He's trying to
he
enjoy.
belongs in a museum.
He's like, you know what, kid? Fuck your dad. I don't give a fuck that he got kidnapped. Do you see how I look? Do you think I get any chicks? Look at your dad. He's got those gray tufts on the sides of his hair. He gets so many chicks.
One day George Lucas will come out and make his first public appearance in years, and his chin will just be dragging the floor. I feel like we talked over that entire episode about Indiana Jones, but you know, it's not
a bad thing. All right, we got to move on to the next episodes.
The finally, the Tiger and Vise of Doctor Who.
All right. All right, let's press play.
Hold on, I hate having to readjust my volume every fucking time I click on the next video.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I'm ready now. I'm at 000.
I am also ready now. Let's press play in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, final 2 episodes, D. You ready?
No. I like how this song just assumes that I know the name of King Kong.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible assumption. He was a fairly popular character in pop culture at this point.
But even still, I mean, this is what? This is 33 years after the first movie came out.
He was as old as Jesus at this point.
What if I was just some stupid kid, and just as dead? What if I was just some stupid kid who didn't know what King Kong was? I hadn't seen the movie because I wasn't fucking alive yet. And then the show comes on and is like, you know the name. And I'm like, no, I don't. Don't assume things. Like, home video wasn't a thing at this point. Like...
I think you were... It sounds like you were a very angry child.
Yeah.
You got very angry at cartoons that didn't tell you every facet of a character's backstory and personality.
They do that in rap songs sometimes these days. They're like, you already know who it is. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, who the fuck are you?
Will Smith did that all the time. But he was Will Smith, so he can kind of get away with it.
Well, I did already know who he was.
But would anybody, like a kid now, might not know who Will Smith is? Oh my god, look at the racism on display in this motherfucker.
Yeah, that dude looks like fucking Spock.
He does. Once again, they're just like, yeah, Kong will be fine in subarctic temperatures. Look at fucking Captain Anglehorn, the cocksucker. Gets to lay under his blanket while all the dogs and the boy are doing the work.
Why is Captain Anglehorn back in this episode?
Because they found his lifeless corpse frozen in the ice and they resuscitated it. This is a prequel to all the other ones.
What happened to Captain Fat Dude with a beard?
He was murdered by the kid. The kid's a sociopath, and the father has to keep him. The father and Kong have to keep him reined in and keep it a secret from the sister, otherwise it would break her heart. So it's a very complicated. It's a very complicated backstory.
I don't trust this character. First of all, he's wearing like a Paul Bunyan getup in the Arctic. Not practical. Second of all, he's got like that weird Amish beard where like there's no mustache, like it just lines the face.
Yeah, he's got that like It's a little Irishy. You expect an Irishman to have that kind of deal.
I also don't trust Unibrow over here.
No. I don't trust that they're using flamethrowers to melt out ancient tigers.
I also don't trust the 30-foot tall tigers.
Why did they bring Kong with them? Like, did they just assume that they were going to wake them up and have them fight? Because, I mean, that's what's going to happen. But they shouldn't,
at this point, I think they've just gotten used to the fact that giant monster battles happen everywhere they go.
Well, no, I think it's because they keep getting kidnapped and they need Kong to tear stuff apart to save them. Oh, watch this shit. This is some... I remember this episode from when I was a kid. So they're all like, all right, we're going to go to bed. It's like high noon, but we're going to go to sleep, including Kong. This motherfucker passes out with the flamethrower in his hands, going, and he wakes up the tigers. How wild is that?
King Kong in this show is essentially just Patrick Warburton's character from the Venture Brothers. He only exists to beat the shit out of Dr. Venture's enemies.
This dude fucked up so fucking bad. Look at his face. He's totally on like some anthrax. No, I was gonna say anthrax. That's not a drug. I was gonna say Xanax. He's on. Maybe that does explain his weird pass outs, but maybe he's on some Xanax. You know, he's popping some ecstasy, Prozac.
We would never know if a character in the show is on anthrax because they look dead all the time.
But isn't that great that he fell asleep, you know, shooting the flamethrower at the tigers? I don't know if I would ever sleep again after doing that, you know?
Every single character in this movie matches Donald Pleasance's description of Michael Myers. The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
I love how these tigers came back and they're just like, we're going to wreck everything. How come Englehorn doesn't get a parka? Does he just not deserve one? Because he's the hired help? Is he like their ship captain / butler?
He's like fucking Popeye the Sailor Man wandered into the wrong cartoon.
I am giant ape, sorry.
One of my favorite cutaway gags in an episode of Family Guy was in when Popeye's arms, it turned out that they had tumors in them.
And he had a stroke like 75 years ago.
This Popeye sitting in the doctor's office. I'm afraid to tell you, those bulges in your arms. Those bulges in your arms are not muscles. They're actually tumors. Also, you've had a stroke. Like, this explains so much.
All right, Kong, time to beat the ever-living shit out of something again.
I mean, I don't know if you ever saw the Popeye movie, but I certainly believe Robin Williams had a stroke in that.
If by that you mean that he jerked off right before the movie started, I believe.
I'm sure both. What if you had a stroke while having a stroke? You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's happened.
Imagine you die in that position, and then rigor mortis sets in, and then people find you.
In Clerks, at the very end, it turns out that an old man who came into the store earlier in the movie died jerking off in the bathroom. And Dante's girlfriend goes in there to use the bathroom, and she thinks that it's him in there, and she fucks him. But it turns out that the boner remains several hours after the corpses the person has died because the blood stays there. So she fucks him, and he comes. It's wild. It's a wild movie.
Lovely, lovely.
I love Kevin Smith.
Everything that corpse was able to maintain an erection longer than most living people.
There was some weird condition they mentioned. I don't know if it's real or not. Kevin Smith says that it's like real, but you know. Wow, Kong just what did they do? Like make them into a fucking like stew?
I think they do.
Oh my god, you know what? I think Kong is going to be wearing the skins as like a coat. I swear to god, I think that's what happens.
If so, this is like the best episode ever.
Yup, I told you! He's got like a scarf made out of the fucking tigers! Isn't that crazy? PETA must have been like... If PETA was around now, like when this show was made, like they would have been so pissed.
It's too bad that the animators didn't know how to make tiger stripes, because it just looked like a normal scarf.
Yeah.
Looked like Where's he was cosplaying as Where's Waldo. Like he just had a striped thing on.
Can we talk about how useless this girl is?
Did I mention already that she looks like Janet from the Jetsons?
Yeah, I
She
think you
totally
did.
looks
The
she totally
Vise of Doctor Who. Whatever the fuck that means. So here's this weird bank in the middle of the jungle. This is the Jungle Bank. This is where we store our jungle money. Oh, it's the children's home. In the middle of the jungle. So Captain Englehorn is also the captain of this truck, apparently.
Is everything in the jungle?
I think the island is like a fully self-sustaining society.
Are they on Mondo Island right now?
I have no idea where the hell they are. Well, now I know where they are. Being kidnapped. Look how skinny Captain Englehorn's legs are. They don't meet together. He's got no crotch.
He's got like chicken legs. What the fuck?
He's half bird. He's like that teacher from Jimmy Neutron. Oh, look at the guy with the fez. That's cute.
Did you see that article a few months back where like they found a guy in like the ruins of Pompeii who was like masturbating when it happened?
I think I saw you share it. I didn't read it. Is that true, or did it just look like he was?
There's debate about whether he was actually doing that or whether the body just like fell in that position.
I
but
don't believe that somebody was jerking off in the midst of that. I mean, you know, a part of me would like to believe it, but I don't believe it.
I totally would like to believe that the man saw doom coming his way, or maybe was just unaware of it.
And he decided to come first.
he said, well, if I'm going to come and go, I'm going to come and go. He went out with a bang. That was... It's also entirely possible that maybe he didn't know what was going on, because maybe he was like inside of a building or something. You know?
He was lost in his own ecstasy.
He didn't hear the
He was like, oh my, because they were Pompeii people.
Maybe he was smart enough to realize, I'm not getting out of here.
Do you think they called themselves that, the Pompeii people?
I doubt it.
Or the Pomps?
They probably just called themselves Romans.
That's how ugly you fuckers are. This is the mirror showing you of your deepest self-loathing, including Kong.
Pompeians, maybe? Mm-mm. Pom-poms? I don't know.
Still no crotch visible on Englehorn. I'm starting to get concerned. Maybe he's got a cloaca like a bird. Oh, this happened in King Kong Escapes.
He sort of looks like a stork or something, doesn't he?
He does. This exact bit happened in King Kong Escapes.
That's true.
They stole another bit. I mean, stole. I mean, it was inspired by it, but you know. Oh, I saw Englehorn's crotch. We know it exists. It's just well hidden.
I'm so happy for you.
Me too.
You
know, I don't get a lot of wins in this world, Dave, but occasionally I get to see the crotches of animated characters who I presumed had cloacas prior.
You were really concerned about whether or not that animated man had a crotch on him, and I'm glad that things worked out.
Me too. Nothing ever does, but that one thing worked out. You know, I'd really like to see a King Kong cartoon where, like, the whole thrust of it is not people getting kidnapped.
Also not hiding out in the forest while Cyborg Man attacks with robot dinosaurs.
Maybe we'll find that happy middle ground in the next one. Having been familiar with it for my entire life, I'll say, I've turned it on. Meh. Kong's just like, I love being trapped.
I feel like the voice actor who plays Doctor Who is having a lot of fun, but you can't tell because the character has one facial expression.
He always looks like disconcertedly happy. Oh my god, that was weird. Are the walls closing in? Or I thought that was like a weird zoom in.
I think it's more of like a trash compactor from A New Hope situation.
Right. doesn't look like it though because they're just zooming in. Why was he gonna punch Bobby? Like, what the hell? Oh, to get Kong angry? Okay. What? Why did he run in? What? Why did he run into the room with King Kong?
He's just a fucking idiot.
Doctor
Why doesn't
Who?
he come up? Why doesn't he just come up with non-Kong related world domination schemes? Then maybe he could win one.
Why didn't Bobby just yell at Kong like, "Hey Kong, wreck the place"? Oh, I guess it was soundproof. You couldn't hear him, so there had to be a physical display of violence.
This kid is totally the prototype for Linda Miller. No, Kong.
Kong's like, "But I'm really hungry. I really want to eat him." Just let me eat him, please.
Did you just say black man?
Is that seriously
What?
it? There was literally zero closure to that whatsoever. My God. But alright, D, that was,
This was the last episode we watched. Are you just not noticing the lack of closure?
I mean,
The only
but like Doctor Who literally just ran out of this little preview of the next episode. We can see what we've missed by not buying the next volume. What's a way to... Oh, we missed a T-Rex. What? That was
The only
funny.
episode that... The only episode...
Oh, there's Mechanicong.
Damn it. Why couldn't that episode have been on here?
Because the world hates us.
I feel like the only episode that we watched that actually felt like it had a complete story was the one with the Sphinx.
Yeah, that's probably the best of these, realistically, right?
I would say so.
Yeah. I thought the same thing when I was a kid. That was the one that I rewatched the most.
It's certainly not King Kong and the Golden Temple.
No.
The first two.
How King Kong-y does this show feel?
Not really.
I mean, a lot of the basic things are there. I mean, we just saw in that little outro there, him climbing the Empire State Building, fighting off planes. That never happens in the show, to my knowledge. There is an episode where he goes to New York and he has like a little scuffle with the military, but he doesn't fight off planes on top of the Empire State Building. And there is no version of the original movie in this timeline, as far as I know. And Kong's characterization is obviously very different. He's more of like a child's pet in this. It's like a kid and his Kong. But the island is there, the dinosaurs are there, so all the big things are there. And Englehorn is there.
It's a classic story. Kid meets giant monkey. Kid and giant monkey get kidnapped by evil scientist. Kid gets punched by family friend so that giant monkey can save him from evil scientist. Evil scientist runs away. Kid wards off giant monkey's sexual advances. It's a tale as old as time.
I feel like I liked this show a lot more than when I did when I was a kid, because I didn't have to sit through the fucking Tom of Thumb shorts in between each episode of Kong like I did when I watched the DVD as a kid, because that had all the Tom of Thumb shorts on there, which was the show that was produced parallel to this one, and they aired them together.
Realistically, you could have just fast-forwarded the DVD.
Do you know how much effort that requires?
Pressing a button?
Yes! What if you missed the
guess.
beginning of the King Kong show? Anyway, so,
You rewind a little bit.
Oh.
What are you gonna miss? What are you gonna miss? The fucking theme song?
I don't know. Listen, all I know is that this show is not very good, and that it's
No.
worse than Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
So, Dylan...
It's worse than Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I would definitely rather watch that than this again.
I'd rather watch neither ever again.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. So, D, that was the 60s Kong cartoon. We just watched more of it than perhaps we would have liked, but we certainly did it. So, that's another addendum to the Week of Kong completed.
If anybody hasn't seen the 60s Kong cartoon, and you're kind of curious, I would recommend just watching King Kong Escapes instead.
Yeah, definitely. I think to get a flavor of that, watching that movie is just the best and most entertaining way to do it, because this show is just, it's such a nothing show. At the end of the day, I do think this show is worse than the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla, just because it's nothing. It's just like a bunch of random crap that's just incomprehensible and intolerable. It's unwatchable in every sense of the word.
There are plenty of bad cartoons that were made out of popular movies in the 60s. You know, you have Star Trek the animated series, you have Return to the Planet of the Apes, you have but nothing I think as bad as this that I've seen. Because at least those have plots.
Right.
And they're not 6-minute shorts.
Well, all right. So on to the next thing then. So for the Addendum of Kong 3, the next one we'll be doing is a look at the 90s Kong animated series, and we'll be doing less episodes of that than we did for this, because those are longer, so we're only going to do 3 episodes of that show. But it should still be a good time nevertheless. So join us for that. We'll see you then. And then after that...
That'll be it for Kong addendums until 2020.
Right, exactly. Although the way I think I'm going to release these, I think I won't release Skull Island until after that, because I think I should release them in chronological order, don't you?
Probably.
Yeah, so after that is when you'll finally get the long-awaited true addendum to the Week of Kong, Kong Skull Island. So that'll be the Addendum of Kong 4.
Which we have already recorded, but has not yet been posted. So
yeah, well, that was originally supposed to be its own thing, but we decided to do a little build up to it by doing all the other stuff we didn't cover in the series. So the last thing that we truly have to cover personally is the 90s Kong cartoon. So onward to the finale, D.
Indeed.
Until then, I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubar.
I'm Super DM64.
We're millionaires, boys. We'll share it with all of you.